My dreams of being a TED Talk speaker died that night on stage.
Well, if you always knew what you were doing, you're never growing. That's how you build the belief. You build the belief by taking on the challenges.
I'm here!
There she is! Rosie Rose is a movement maker. She's been with us for over a year, so we're doing this special bonus IG Live session. Didn't you do your very first IG Live with me? Didn't we do that together? Or am I making...
Yeah.
We okay. You were so nervous. I remember you being like incredibly nervous. Maybe you're still nervous now, but man,
I'm so nervous.
But how much have you grown over the past year?
Oh my gosh, so much. Like I was this like little snail and like slowly coming out of her shell, and then just this whole year, so much growth. Like my public speaking skills, I'm still working on it, but it's grown so much. Learning to like calm my nerves down and like slow down, Rosie, slow down. You're going too fast.
Anyway, it's been amazing watching you grow.
Yes.
But your time, how can I help? What's on your mind? Where do you want to take it?
Yes. Okay. So back in the summer of 2019, before I joined Movement Makers, one of my dreams or goals was to be a TED Talk speaker. So for you guys that don't know me, I want to share my story about how I forgave that man that killed my dad, and writing to him and helping him get out of prison. And he's out of prison now. And so that led me to want to share my story about forgiveness. So what I did was, how I didn't have any resources or like a people that were supporting me, like movement makers during that time. So how can I get on stage? So for me, I thought, okay, join what is that group called? I lost my
Toastmasters.
Toastmasters. So I joined Toastmasters. Well, I didn't join. I just went to a few different clubs to check it out. And then, because my story is so heavy, I wanted to add humor into it. So what better way to add humor than go to like a open mic at a comedy club. Okay. So I had the courage that summer to join, to take classes for a comedy class. So I went in, and I was so nervous. I went in there, I was like, hey, this is my story. I want to be a TED Talk speaker, and this is an opportunity for me to come on stage, because there will be people and I'll have an experience to be on stage. So I took a couple of classes, and then I finally had the balls. Well, I don't have balls, but to go and do my comedy that I wrote out. So I went on, and it was like I was in the moment. I was flowing. Like I felt like a different person on stage, and it felt amazing. So nice. I was in character. So after I'd done that, the comedy teacher was like, you're ready for open mic. I'm like, I am? He's like, come on in. So I finally had the courage to go to open mic. Like I didn't let my husband go with me, just because I was so like, I didn't know what to expect. So I went by myself, 9 p.m., sign up on the list. I didn't go on till 11:30. So from 9 to 11:30, I was sitting there by myself, watching everybody else go on. I was so like, my battery level, right?
Worst. Yeah.
Yeah, my battery level. Like, say I was like Chun-Li gonna go into a battle on Street Fighter. And when I first joined, like my belief of being a TED Talk speaker was 100%. During 9 p.m. to 11:30, my energy level started going down little by little. My nerves start taking over. So when they call me on stage, they're like, next up is Rosie Cunt. Come on down. I'm like, butchered my name. So I went on stage. I bombed. I went too fast. My nerves took a hold of me. I didn't know how to fix the mic. So the mic is like way up here, and I'm like way down here. And it was just horrible. Like I sucked. I bombed. And my dreams of being a TED Talk speaker died that night on stage.
Wow. Did anyone film it? You have a video of that?
No.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So, and then after that, like now we're talking about resilience. I wasn't aware of it, but I left my dreams of being a TED Talk speaker 2 years ago on that open mic stage.
Okay.
So how like my belief is not there no more. So I'm trying to like slowly bring it back again, because that journey of me being a TED Talk speaker, when I think about it, it's fun. Just, going through like the steps of, going to Toastmaster, going to the comedy club, or then join movement makers to, build up my public speaking skills. Yeah, but the belief, it died on the stage.
Well, but the dream didn't die, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So the good news is, how long ago did you realize this?
Just recently.
So, I mean, that happened in, what'd you say, 2019?
2019, summer of 2019.
This is why it's our stories that keep pulling themselves back, right? Like that thing happened in 2019, and the belief died in the ability to go off and do it. Now you don't think you want to be a TEDx speaker, but you only recently realized, you know what? No, I want that. I'm just afraid, and I've been living under fear for 3 years.
Yeah.
So what do we do when we're afraid, Rosie? This is it. This is the standing up and doing it. Now, the good news with a TEDx talk is, I mean, so you have to do it, right? I mean, you have to do it.
I have to do it. Yes.
You have to do it for yourself. I
Yeah.
mean, just you already knew that was the answer, though, right? I mean, you knew coming into this, what's everyone going to say? Everyone's not going to say, oh, whatever, do it, don't do it. I mean, of course you have to do it, and to get the courage to do it, it's just imagine 3 more years and 5 more years or 10 more years of just living with this dream and always being afraid. With TEDx, you get a lot of chances to practice. Like what the topic is going to be. You can time it. You can practice. So it's not rolling off the cuff. You're going to be practicing. You're still going to be scared. I'm still nervous every time I go on stage to do anything.
Yeah.
I've never bombed. I've never walked away, felt like, oh my God, that sucked. But that also means that I haven't taken enough risks. Like,
yeah.
You're braver than I was. You went up and you did it and you bombed. And I wish somebody filmed it so we can look back on that and say, look at where Rosie started.
Yeah.
So now it's a matter of just finding the TEDx that you can present at, preparing the speech, practicing. You've got an amazing support system now to be able to help you through it. Practice with people, film videos, get their feedback. You can book different sessions with different movement makers. Lots of people would be happy to sit and listen for 10 minutes to your talk and then give you feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you do IG Lives with people as a practice,
Yeah.
Let me do an IG Live with you to share my story as my TED Talks and then get feedback.
Great idea. Yeah.
Takes, right? Erasmo already says, let's do it. So there you go. You got one. Angela will be a yes. A bunch of people would say yes. You go live with Erasmo. You do your 10-minute talk. And then you get feedback from Erasmo and from people watching.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some stakes to it. So it's not just you in your kitchen, practicing. Yeah. And that's it. And you just go do it. And then this just adds to your story. And this is how you rebuild the belief. I mean, you've already started doing it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When there's a challenge, you rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
You're so stronger than you were in 2019.
Yeah.
Like you've grown. When we started this talking about how much you've grown just in the past year, let alone 3 years, you're so much further ahead. That bombing on stage wouldn't hit you as hard today.
That's true.
Compared to 2019.
Yeah. I guess for me is since we were doing the resilience challenge, that brought up that old bombing on stage. And for me, like, I got to go back on open mic. I got to go back and try it again. So for me, the journey of going back again, like, it's scary, like going, in front of people you don't know. But there was like a venture out of it. There's something fun that I really liked about it. But I'm going to go back because I can't leave that stage. Like, I bombed. I can't leave it there. I got to go back and do it again, just to prove it to myself that I can do this. And the journey of it, like, I don't know. Yeah. I guess I'm still learning. I don't know what the heck I'm doing sometimes, but I know I'm moving forward.
Well, if you always knew what you were doing, you're never growing. So that's good. You can go back if you feel like you wanna squish that demon. Go back. I mean, it's kind of like the things that you were afraid of when you were a kid, or even if you ever go back to your home, like a childhood home, and everything kind of seems so much bigger, and now you go back, it's like, oh, it wasn't that big. Like it's not that.
Yeah.
Like a place. It's kind of the same thing. You're not even the same person anymore as the person who went and bombed in 2019.
Yeah.
Way better. Even if you went tonight with no prep, you'd be way better. And two, even if you didn't do super well, it wouldn't haunt you for 3 years like it did before.
Yeah, that's true. Yes.
You're just stronger. It's like if you go to the gym and you do 3 push-ups, you think that you're super weak, but you've been training, you've been working out. Now going to the gym and doing 3 push-ups is nothing. I like it. Do it. I mean, that's how you build the belief. You build the belief by taking on the challenges, by saying yes to the thing. So you're afraid of it. You caught that you're afraid of it. You spent 3 years not catching it, which is normal. That's it's the human condition. But now that you caught it, the most important thing is once you caught it, what do you do with it? Well, now you gotta go say yes. Go back and do the comedy club again, and go book your TEDx talk.
Yeah. Well, it paralyzed me too because I stopped writing. I realized that I stopped writing that night. Like I didn't really take the time to just sit down and actually just write. So I think it's picking up that pen and paper again and taking that time to write.
Write what?
Write my my TED Talk speak.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that's the rest of your day.
Yeah, I know. I was like, what else can I ask Evan? I know I need a lot more help, but I'm just,
Now you just got to do it. I mean, that's the best use of your time is to go and research the TEDx talks that are coming up in the next 6 months. The downside of TEDx is you have to, for the most part, you have to wait 3 months. Like where's home for you? Like what?
California.
Okay, so there's so many. I mean, California is. If you're willing to drive, a couple hours to get somewhere, there's so many things that are happening that you have 2 options. You've got anything that is happening soon. You message the organizers and say, hey, if you have a cancellation, I'm happy to do it on this, and you may or may not get called. And usually it's a couple months in advance that they're still asking for speakers to apply. So you're already ready. Like this is actually it's a big mental deal, but skill set wise, you're already going to be better than most of the speakers there.
Yeah. And so how do you prep yourself before going on before like a speaking gig? Like how do you prep yourself before speaking?
So, hopefully I'm speaking on something that I know what I'm talking about. It's always a good start. I'll usually review kind of the core thoughts. Like I'll start with what do I want people to get out of this? So if the main thing is forgiveness for you, I want people to get forgiveness. Like if you want people to feel, hey, the takeaway is if I could forgive the guy who killed my father and help him get out of jail, what's the big person that you need to forgive in your life? Because they probably didn't kill your dad, right? I mean, like you went to the extreme of what a lot of people would think is unforgivable, right? So that's the outcome, is I want people to reflect on who they need to forgive and then go home and take some action on that today. That's kind of best possible outcome. So I would think through how I want to tell my story. I would practice, especially for something like TEDx. You only have 10 minutes, and it's like clocked. So you have to get it really down to, is it 10 minutes or 12 minutes? I think it's 12 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, I have no idea.
Whatever it is, like it's clocked. You gotta get your message down. So it's a rehearsed speech where I will practice and practice and practice and practice. I'll walk around in here. I'll practice talking to my dog. I'll practice. But then when I get to the event, on the days leading up to it, I'll be paying attention to who's, like, what are they posting on social, what are they sharing, and especially the day of, I'll be trying to make connections in the audience to, like, who am I talking to? Because it's always about the audience and less about what I have to say. And it's always better when I feel like I'm talking to Rosie, not I'm talking to YouTube, or I'm talking to the world, I'm talking to a giant audience. And so if I just show up and speak, I'm not as good as if I'm hanging around there before to get the vibe.
Okay.
So I'll be there early, and I'll be hanging out with people, and I'll be talking to them. I don't even have to say I'm speaking. I'll just be hanging out in the lobby, talking to people, getting a sense of why they're here, and I'll channel that energy into the actual speech. What ends up happening now is I make adjustments to what I'm going to say based off of who I meet.
Okay.
You can really do that in a TEDx talk. But if you're looking at skills to be a better speaker, I will always make adjustments. So I'll have my rehearse, like, what I'm going to say, but then I almost never end up saying what I practiced, what I was going to say, because I made some kind of adjustment. Because I met you in the lobby this morning, and I was inspired by your story of forgiveness, and I'm now going to incorporate your story and forgiveness into my message as well. I might even bring you up on stage and say, hey, tell us what you told me in the lobby outside, and make it a lot more personal with the people who are here. I just did a virtual speech for Transform You, and I was on the part of the closing part, and the founder, the guy who put this on, his name was Steven. His son and I had been communicating in the back chat for a while, and I discovered he wanted to be a speaker too, but he was too afraid. And for 3 days, I'm chatting with him in the back, like, dude, come on, Justin, let's go. You got to get you up on stage.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where he wasn't doing it. He was too afraid. And I told him and his dad and the other organizers that on my last speech, I want him on the stage with me.
Wow.
So he was local, like he was in the room. I zoomed in from Toronto. Yeah. So he was with the live audience, and I want him on stage while I'm on the camera, and he's going to share something. And if he's not there, I'm not doing it. To put, like, incredible pressure on everybody to make sure that now that's a big risk. Now, and I still would have done it. I wouldn't have not shown up, but I knew I needed to get, like, extra leverage on him to go off and do it. And he did. And then he filmed the story about, like, turned the camera towards the audience where you can see him and say, hey, this is always in my dream. I've been too afraid. Thank you to Evan and the team here for pushing me. This is way outside my comfort zone. Because that session was on limiting beliefs, like uncovering the limiting beliefs that are holding you back. That was what I was supposed to talk about. And I could easily go on a 40-minute talk about limiting beliefs. Like, we could do that right now. Yeah. But what better way to show it than to actually have somebody who is struggling with his own limiting belief right now, who is the son of the organizer putting on this event. Let's have him actually do something, right?
That's powerful, yeah.
And so it's the willingness to switch it all up, because it's actually better for the impact that you're trying to reach. So where I think a lot of speakers will fall down is they only have their set speech and they deliver the exact same speech everywhere they go. where it's much better and I think much more fulfilling if you can roll with the audience, because it's not about you saying what you want to say. It's about actually leaving an impact on them. And so me bringing him on stage led to me talking less, but led to a much bigger impact, definitely on him, but also for the audience who was watching in. So that is not a TEDx format, but you're already good enough for TEDx. Like, you're already better than most of the people who are speaking at TEDx. If you only follow the TEDx format, I think it actually trains you to be a lazy speaker, because you're not bouncing with the audience. You're just delivering your speech. It's just something to pay attention to. I think with TEDx, you memorize your speech because you need to get it down to the 12 minutes or whatever it is. I would still probably hang out with the audience, so you get a vibe, you get some friendly faces. You know, it's not just a total bunch of strangers. I would probably bring my husband, you know, if I were you, or let movement makers know, like maybe there's somebody who's in California, or let some people know, because it's scary to feel that you might bomb in front of your loved ones, but it's so nice to have a warm face in the audience who's there supporting you unconditionally, and kind of wish afterwards that they were there. It's just another fear talking. Like, I don't want to fail in front of my husband or in front of whoever. And then, I love it when Nina comes to my stuff, and I'll look at her in the audience before I'll go and do my thing. And then you just go up and you do your thing, and make sure it's recorded. Like, they should record it themselves, but you know, somebody filming for you. Really, it's beyond, because open mic and TEDx are no longer big enough goals for you. They feel big because of the emotional, turmoil, I guess, you've been through, but for your skill level and for your heart level and for the message that you're trying to put out to the world around forgiveness and the story you've got, they're not big enough goals, not anymore. So you could have that knocked out. I mean, open mic, you can go this weekend and go do it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
The TEDx likely requires a little more planning because of organizers, nothing kind of in your control, but that could be banged out in the next 3 to 4 months. And then it becomes, what's next?
Yeah, what is next?
If you want to go down the speaking route, then it's, you know, more speeches, more stage work, and then learning to be a better speaker and bouncing with the audience as opposed to coming up and delivering a prepared speech. My evolution is really slow, and I think you can get there a lot faster, and anybody watching get there faster. I started off, because I'm so afraid of disappointing people in the audience, I would only do PowerPoint presentations, and I would always have my slides. So if I ever forgot or got lost, there would always be my presentation there that I can fall back on. Like, oh yeah, that's what I was talking about. Yeah. And then I did a keynote in Paris, and I was the closing keynote there for a software company. And I decided for the first time I was going to go no slides. Like, there was only one slide up the whole time. And I had a 45-minute presentation. And I was so stressed out. I was pacing and practicing and just basically memorized my 45-minute presentation. And I didn't nail it word for word, but it was pretty close. It was like pretty much exactly as I rehearsed. That's what came out. But it actually makes you not as great a speaker. I mean, it was tailored to them, and I hadn't given that presentation anywhere else. But what I do now is I very rarely have anything on a slide. Like when I spoke at Brendan's event, Ed's event, I think all of my events, unless they need it, or unless it's super tactical, like I have to show in YouTube world where it's showing data or something, then I will go to it. But it's just me.
Yeah.
And it's better because it allows for a lot more connection to the audience.
Yeah.
And then the willingness to bounce with them. Like, if you are giving a talk on forgiveness, sharing your story is super powerful, because again, you know, at the beginning, people may not know who you are, what your story is, and it's such a powerful story that you forgave the person who killed your dad and then helped him get out of jail, right? That's crazy. Like, if you're doing a big speech, you should do one with him.
Yes.
He needs to come on stage for one of them, you know, have his side of the story come out. And then you ask the audience, like, who's got who's got somebody in your life that you need to forgive,
Mm-hmm.
and have them, raise their hands, and who's had this in their mind for, over 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, and like keep your hands up. And you pick someone for over 5 years had this thing that they really need to forgive somebody for, and then bring them up on stage, and then help them do it. Like what happened, and why didn't you forgive them, and why haven't you done it already, and what's the block, and then have them text the person on stage to set up. That's so much more powerful than just giving them, here are the 3 ways to forgive somebody. Okay, step number 1, identify. Like, it's just so logical.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean you don't give tools and techniques, but without the emotion behind it, people don't act.
Yeah.
So in hearing your story and then in seeing how somebody else is doing it, it allows the audience to see themselves in that person, and they're much more likely to go home and actually try to forgive somebody, which is the whole point of talk. Again, not a TEDx format, but
that's huge.
Powerful.
Though. What you just said about bringing him on together, and it's just much more powerful together. That was great. I got a lot of insights from you.
You go back. There's a good Tony Robbins clip of this, which you can probably find somewhere on YouTube, where on the 9/11, like when 9/11 happened, like on 9/11, he was doing it in Maui or something, and it totally changed his event because of, just what happened and how crazy. It's hard to move on with your typical agenda.
Yeah.
Something crazy like that happens. And here it is again, like, kudos to Tony for adjusting based off of the audience. Everybody is either shocked or sad or angry or wanted revenge, or, they're not in the right mindset to go learn about whatever he was teaching. So he shifted it, right? Which is already lesson number 1. But then what he did was he had 2 people come up on stage, and I forget their like what countries they came from, but one from the Arab world and one from, I believe, either they're American or Jewish American or something, because they were yelling at each other in the event, and he had them come up on stage and he had them talk it out, and he worked through it. It's like, okay, tell me what you're feeling, and they worked it out, and then ended up going off and doing their own speaking tour together, talking about peace.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's like you and this guy, you're half of the equation, in that you were able to forgive him, but he's the other half in knowing, well, what did he feel in doing this? How does it feel that you helped him get out of jail, and what does your forgiveness mean to him, and how has that impacted his life afterwards? Is another really cool side of the story.
Oh, that was great. Yes, I haven't been in contact with Bob, like the man that killed my father, but I think I'm gonna try to get a hold of him now. But that was huge. Thank you so much, Evan, for your time, and I got a lot to think about now.
You're connected to Bob for life.
Yeah.
Because of what happened, and I think it's great to reach out and just. It doesn't mean you have to be best friends or going on date night, whatever, but to be able to turn what happened into something a lot more powerful. Forgiveness can be step number 1, and then a whole new world opens up.
Yeah. Whew.
I'm super excited, Rosie.
Oh, thank you so much, Evan. That was
this,
great.
Rosie. Open mic, TEDx talk, and then go change the world. Let's go.
All right. Thank you so much, Evan.
Okay. Much love. Cheers,
All
Rosie.
Right. Bye.
Take care.
If you want to see another awesome one-on-one I did with an entrepreneur just like you, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
I got an idea for you.
Okay.
Like, you can launch an audiobook, but it doesn't mean that it's just going to sell just because you have your audiobook on Amazon, right? So it's about getting the attention to it.